Villager. Where do I begin? While small and cute, this child strikes fear in millions of smashers per day. The subtle smirk on Villager's face may seem adorable, but behind that is the bloodlust of a murderer. This character has several different embodiments of trolls. You have the standard Psycho Villager, your kindergarten crush Villager, NASCAR Villager, Buttercup Villager, Exax, also known as the 420 Villager, Ness's Psycho Girlfriend Villager, Guido Villager, and Susie Sweetheart Villager. But while he has all these different forms of trolls and murderers, what abilities do each of these killagers possess? Let's find out and how to play Villager. So let's discuss the pros and cons of Villager. Some of the pros that Villagers has is small, which makes him hard to hit versus taller characters. So take this for example. When you're fighting taller characters such as Wii Fit Trainer or even maybe Ike, Villager is not that easy to hit because of his or her height. And for the sake of easiness, we're going to refer to Villager as a her, since I'm using Psychotic Girlfriend Villager, Ness's Psychotic Girlfriend Villager. But other than that, yes. So taller characters have a hard time actually hitting Villager. Villager has many lingering hitboxes. But what does that mean? That means when Villager throws out one of his moves, the hitbox stays out for a very long time, rather than coming out as soon as the move is initiated and then disappearing. It stays out long. She has great kill power, so check this for example. Now, let's see what an F smash does to Sheep. That's a kill, and I'm sure that would kill at even 70%, but that's just one of Villager's smash attacks. Villager's kill power also ranges not only from Villager's smash attacks, but from Villager's aerials as well, which also have great kill power and other potential as well, but we'll discuss that later. A multitude of traps. Villager has moves that can ground her opponent, moves that can edge guard her opponent, and even moves that are better for edge guarding that linger, which is what I was talking about earlier. Those lingering hitboxes are amazing for edge guarding, making Villager one of the best edge guarding characters in the game. And also check this out. She can recover from the depths. Look how high this goes. Villager has the best recovery in the game, not only with Villager's up B, but with Villager's side B as well. Kill moves and aerials interrupt approaches. So as I was saying, those lingering hitboxes do interrupt approaches because your opponent will try to time themselves around Villager's aerials, but with that hitbox staying out long, sometimes they'll either trade with Villager or Villager will win the trade because they executed their move too late and they ended up eating one of Villager's lingering hitboxes. Aerials are very safe on shield, so if you are facing a shielding opponent, you can always nair their shield and fade back with the nair, and which is what we call a retreating nair, but you can also retreat with other aerials as well, which we'll go over later on in this tutorial as well. Controls a lot of stage position with tree, so the infamous tree guys, you see this. Villager can control a lot of space on the tree because opponents will not want to approach when the tree is on the field at risk of being embarrassed by hitting such a stationary move, well, getting hit by such a stationary move such as tree. So your opponent is kind of tempted to fade back and just let the tree disappear over time, which gives you stage control because now you control where the tree is, you control from behind, you control space from behind the tree, and you can rush down your opponent and force them over to the tree by approaching them. Villager can control a lot of space with the tree, so use that wisely. Even the seed, because you can half water it and the tree will grow right after. So check this out. Do that, water it just a bit, just a little bit. And we're gonna have Sheik walk towards me, water it fully, and that is going to be a mix-up that you want to use as Villager. It's called half watering, and I'll explain it a little bit more in depth again later on in this tutorial. Now, Villager is a character that is infamous for stealing items. Alright guys, so you see that banana? Say Diddy Kong throws a banana at you. You can easily take it. And now, what does this mean? Well, you have a free banana at your arsenal that you can take in and out of your pocket at any given time. Now the trick, and you want to use this against many other characters, especially Diddy Kong, is that if you hold their banana or their item, some characters can't recall another item while one item is out. And the trick to this is when you use Villager, you have a 25 to 30 second interval in which you can pull out the banana again and it refreshes that time lapse. So you infinitely pocket that item. You just have to pull it out every 25 to 30 seconds or before then just to refresh the time. That is a really crucial technique against characters like Diddy Kong and other item wielding characters. So be sure to make great use of that. And the last thing that she can do is she has the ability, no matter what, even if you are in a dire situation, she will shed blood of her opponent when need be to score you that game-winning kill. And that is one of the scariest things about Villager. For a character that looks so trollish, you never know when exactly you're going to lose your stock or how you're going to lose it. Now, even with all these awesome pros, Villager does have her weaknesses. She has a very weak boxing game in a sense where when you're in close range, she really only has jab to get away from her opponent. And it doesn't necessarily knock them back, it'll pop them up. But certain opponents can just get around that as well with either a tomahawk from behind or essentially rushing her down before she even gets the chance to execute the jab. So she loses to rush down characters in a sense. That characters that can get in her face instead of losing to her in mid-range and long range where she excels will beat her. So I say like Sheik, Fox, Little Mac, very fast characters will have an easy time dealing with Villager, and I feel like those are the matchups that Villager struggles the most in and loses. Traps are hard to set up, so it's nice to have a bowling ball that kills at 70 to 80%. It's nice to have a move that plants your opponent in the ground, but how do you land those moves? Those moves are not easy to land at all. The range on bowling ball isn't that good as well, so landing these traps to set up into your kill moves are not the easiest things in the world, and that's why you don't really see villagers land their smash attacks too often, and they focus more so on their aerials, but we're going to get into those later as well. Now grab is just downright terrible. Look how freaking long that grab takes to come out. It's useless. Not necessarily useless, guys, but look at it. It's very slow, guys. It's almost as if you have to make a very hard read to land the grab. So I would say kind of avoid using grab in a sense and look for other options. Villager's weight is not the best as well. So Villager is a small character, meaning that Villager doesn't weigh as much. So Villager can die at a pretty early percent. So you want to watch out. Especially when you're taking a lot of damage, it's very risky. The up B, Villager's recovery move, main recovery move of that, has no hitbox. So while you're rising up, your opponent can easily just come down and hit you when they want to. Be very wary of that. And those are the pros and cons of Villager. So we're going to move on to jabs, tilts, and dash attack. Jab is a rapid series of punches that are great for escaping pressure or punishing opponents out of shield due to grab not being good. So if Diddy Kong were to attack my shield, I can throw out those rapid series of punches to try to punish him in an attempt to protect myself, because I can't really punish out of shield with grab due to it being slow and telegraphed, and my opponent can easily escape that. But not only is jab good for punishing out of shield, you can also use your F tilt as well to punish opponents out of shield. F tilt is just a clean swipe of the umbrella, and I feel like it does a great amount of damage, from 30 to 39, so that was 9% from F tilt. You can also use it as an option to cover yourself when your opponent is approaching you, such as say that your opponent is running at you, you're going to set Diddy Kong to walk, you can do a pivot F tilt. And that's great as a mix-up to knock your opponent away rather than doing a pivot grab, which is a little bit riskier because if you do miss that, you have a lot of lag after, so it's going to be easier to punish you. Now, we're going to move on to her dash attack. Her dash attack is pretty interesting in the sense that her dash attack has a very awkward hitbox. The pot itself is the hitbox, but it has a lot of startup, and it goes kind of a far distance, so you really have to know how to aim it and when to use the move, because it does require strict timing. Now, I do say that this move isn't really good to approach with unless you're mixing it up and haven't used it in a long time, because it has a lot of startup and a lot of lag after. So if you do end up missing the pot, your opponent can punish you relatively easily. Dash attack is good for opponents that spot dodge a lot, because the pot will catch them after their spot dodge, or you could chase an opponent that's rolling backwards and punish them with the pot. Up tilt does a great amount of damage and allows for aerial follow-ups. So I'm going to hit Diddy Kong with my up tilt and then go up and hit him with an up air. Up tilt allows you to do this. It's a very, very, very good move, in my opinion. It has 2 separate hits. So let's see how much percent it does. When you land both hits, it does about 11%. And it's also a good tool for juggling opponents who like to air dodge and jump around in the air, especially if you're positioned under them. Set Diddy Kong to jump. You can catch him if you miss the first part with the second part. So if your opponent air dodges into you and you miss the first part of the up tilt, the second part of the up tilt will catch them and pop them back up for you to set up into a juggle. Now down tilt. Down tilt is interesting. This move is very fast and relatively safe on shield and even if you whiff the move. It has a lot of range. Let's see how far it can hit from. Not there, but about right here. Yes, it will hit Diddy Kong and do 8%. And now at higher percents, it'll set you up into your aerials just like your up tilt could. So both of those moves are relatively the same. Great for punishing rolls and spot dodges as well, especially this move due to its speed and just how safe the move is in general. Fair is a great mid-range / long-range move. When in mid and close range, it has a great amount of knockback, such as that. That can be used to not only edge guard opponents, but to punish opponents in close range, and can be used for killing. It stuffs aerial approaches, so if Falcon were to come walking towards me, he's tall enough as to where I can hit him. Now, even if you're not a tall character, a lot of people do like to incorporate jumping to use aerials in their gameplay. Now, Fair is able to stuff these because even if I'm not close enough to actually knock them away, the little hit of Fair will stuff their aerial, such as that. And it's as simple as that because the move forces you to flinch if you get hit by it. The move also has almost no lag, so you'll be able to use it over and over and over pretty easily. With great movement, you'll be able to do it with rapid succession. Now Bear is pretty similar to Fair in a sense, but this is something special about Bear. Did you catch that? Let's try it again. Did you see that again? If you miss the Fair, you can land with the last hit of Nair, and that can hit your opponent, so check it out. You saw that? I missed the Bear, but I was able to instantly land a Nair. That is the special thing about Bear. So you can mix it up by approaching with Fairs, and then a back air into a Nair. So let's try that out. Fair, Fair, back air, Nair. Up air. Up air is great for juggling. The move is kind of random in a sense where you're able to pull out either 1, 2, or 3 turnips when you use this move. Of course, the more turnips you have, the larger the hitbox and the more power it does. So for example, I'm gonna throw Falcon up in the air and you see just how much these turnips do. Now, when you can hit your opponent with the soft spot of the move, and it is a lingering hitbox, so the move stays out relatively long. This move is great for juggling because even if you do miss the initial part of the move that does the most knockback, aka the sweet spot, the lingering hitbox will still punish your opponent, which is very, very, very good. And that's where Dare comes in, because Dare is exactly the same as up air, only downward, but this move is also a spike. And so we're going to try to spike Captain Falcon. Alright, so Falcon comes down. My goal is to get him off the stage real quick. Alright, going to get this spike. And that's going to take Captain Falcon's stock. As you saw, I had all 3 turnips when I landed that spike, making it a lot easier to land it. But the beauty of this move also is that even though you can easily spike somebody, you can also hit them with the soft spot of the move, which will push them horizontally. So it's also good for edge guarding. even when you miss it. And of course, it's a lingering hitbox, so it stays out longer. Meaning that even if you do miss the initial hitbox, the lingering hitbox can still nick your opponent and put them in a terrible position off stage. Now Nair is amazing, and here is why. This move, just like his other aerials such as Dair, Up Air, and Forward Air and Back Air, can be used to cross up into each other. So with all these lagless aerials that have lingering hitboxes, you create this wall in a sense, an approaching fortress or a retreating fortress that your opponent has a hard time counteracting or even breaking, because there are so many mix-up options. But the thing is, these moves are safe because you can retreat with them without any lag and approach with them at the same time. And Nair hits both sides. It covers both of Villager's sides. And of course, it's also used as an edge guarding tool. So let's talk about Villager's grabs. As I stressed earlier, grabs aren't really that good. The grab takes a long time to come out, and it's possibly one of the worst grabs in the game. So check this out. This is up throw. Up throw does manage to throw them upward. So when you do throw them upward, you create a situation in which your opponent can be juggled. But the thing is, getting the grab. Now we're going to move on to down throw. Down throw is sort of like up throw, only downward, which also puts your opponent above you, and you can follow up with your other aerials as well, as long as they are in hit stun. Forward throw is just a slight throw forward. Even at high percent, you can see that it didn't really do much to Falcon. But at the edge, back throw is actually good because it's a kill move. But the thing is, even though that is possible, how are you going to land that grab? That's up to you to be able to read your opponent and pick the situation best, when to throw out that grab or potentially use it as a mix-up. Beautiful edge guard, I must say. Oh, the joys of having a move such as Pocket. A move that gives you invincibility frames so that when you're being edge guarded, you can easily just throw it out to avoid the attack and potentially punish your opponent after or get back to the ledge for free. Or a move that can take your up B and kill you early. Very early. So unfair. So stupid. Please, if you ever do this to me in tournament, I will never talk to you again. That's not fair. Oh my gosh, that's not fair. Look at the range in which you can pocket an item. That is drastic. You can literally throw out Pocket and it will just absorb the item. Now, watch what happens when Diddy Kong tries to pull another banana. He can't. Why? Because Villager has the banana and Diddy Kong's only able to pull one. Similar to Rob's gyro, this works in the exact same way. Now the thing about this is, I call this, well, villagers call this the infinite pocket technique, in a sense where you have a 25 to 30 second interval in which you have to take out the banana and just repocket it so you can keep it. Therefore, you will keep that banana until you lose the stock, negating one of that character's most valuable tools until you decide to either die or use it yourself. So every 25 to 30 seconds or even before, just pull out the banana once and repocket it to refresh the time interval. And this works the same way against characters, and this works a different way versus characters such as Mega Man, in a sense where Mega Man can keep throwing metal blades, but you can just take one metal blade and hold on to it. But that doesn't mean he won't be able to throw out another one. Now, something interesting about Pocket is that Pocket amplifies not only the speed, but the power of certain moves. So a move such as Samus's charge shot will deal double the damage and increase in speed when thrown out by Villager. So you really need to take advantage of these things as Villager, because those can be potential early KOs. As you know, when you pocket another Villager's tree or bowling ball, it amplifies the damage enormously, resulting in a one-hit KO, potentially at 0%. Take advantage of that, guys. Lloyd Rocket is a great tool on stage. Lloyd Rocket can shoot grounded and Villager can follow it into other attacks. So say you shoot Lloyd Rocket and your opponent decides to shield it. Well, because they shielded it, you can get a free grab. Now, if they decide, wait, Every time he shoots Lloyd Rocket, he's going to keep grabbing me when I shield. Now it's time for me to jump. Well guys, this is the beauty of conditioning. When you see your opponent not shielding and they try to jump, you can stuff them with any aerial you want. And if the Lloyd Rocket does happen to hit them before they jump, you can combo them with another aerial upon the Lloyd Rocket hitting them. Lloyd Rocket, while used offensively, can be used to recover as well. As you can see, it goes very fast depending on how hard you hold the analog stick into the direction that you want to go into. And when it hits the stage, it puts Villager into free fall, but during that free fall, Villager has enough time to grab the ledge. But if you don't want free fall when you use side B, think of how you can use your tree. When you collide into your tree, Villager's not put into free fall. It's the same as if Villager collides into an opponent. So we're going to try that real quick on Captain Falcon. Villager is not put into free fall upon landing into an opponent or an object that's on the stage rather than it being the stage itself. So use that to your advantage when using Lloyd Rocket. Up B. Up B is the best recovery in the game in terms of vertical movement and its ability to hardly be gimped. Because, check it, when Villager uses up B, it's not hard to actually hit Villager and nip Villager. And if Villager even takes the slightest little nip, Villager gets his up B back. So you can pop the balloons, but when you go for popping balloons, it's easy to just really still hit Villager. Down B. Down B is interesting. So we're going to go straight into the basics. Down B plants the seed that you need, well, to grow your tree. So you can half water it. Down B is pretty basic. It plants a seed that you need in order to grow your tree. This is a little trick that you can use. See what I did there? I watered it slightly and then I jumped away from it to stop watering it. So watch this. This is called half watering. I water it just a teeny bit, water it again, and the tree comes out extremely fast. And if it was properly spaced, it would have killed him if he was right above the seed when I watered it. Now, what you guys saw right there is called half watering. What half watering does is it allows for mix-ups in terms of approaches, because now that you have that watered a little bit, it's going to scare your opponent into thinking, oh wait, if I approach, I really commit to getting hit by the tree, because all he has to do is tap it with a little bit more water and it'll come up and hit me. But then if you bait your opponent, it allows for your opponent to take massive amount of damage because they fell for the bait and got hit, well, the half water tree. Look at the speed when you don't half water. The tree comes out rather slowly and it takes a longer time to water it. So your opponent won't really be getting hit by this. Versus if you use half watering, you can use it more strategically and have the seed planted on the stage, allowing you more stage control. Now, what you just saw there was an item come from the tree. That happens randomly and you can pocket that item as well and use it to your own advantage. It doesn't do a lot of knockback, but it does do some percent, and it's good to just have a projectile whenever you can. But we're going to move on to what tree actually is all about. So when you plant a tree, depending on where you plant it on the stage is where you get your stage control. So the side that Villager is on, she can hide behind the tree and literally camp behind the tree and set up a fortress, run behind it, shoot a Lloyd Rocket, run back behind the tree. So it is a wall that you don't want to approach, especially if it's cut into once, even on both sides. Because now your opponent only needs to come in and stay just for a few seconds for you to cut it down once more and for it to potentially kill them. Because let's face it guys, the tree does a lot of damage if it doesn't even actually kill the opponent immediately. As you saw there, Falcon almost died, but let's try this for instance. Let's use it as an edge guarding tool. So we're gonna knock Falcon off real quick. It puts an immense amount of pressure on your opponent when recovering to the stage, because let's face it, while embarrassing it is to get hit by the move, it's also really funny, so they really want to avoid it. And it covers this area right there below the ledge as well, making it a huge hitbox that is very hard to avoid without committing to an air dodge, which can then be followed up off stage by Villager for an easy punish or potential gimp. All about frame trapping as well guys. Frame trapping is very important in this game, which I will explain in a later video that I will have in store for the community. Now, when you have your tree out, you get the ability to use something called the Bloody Axe. And this axe is very fast and a kill move. As you can see, that took out Falcon quite swiftly. It's very fast, but let's see how much damage it does alone. from what I generally just saw there, that was 14%, guys. 14%. Let's see if I got that math correct. Gonna put Falcon at 0 to see how much percent the axe does alone. Plant that tree, cut him up. 14%. The move is fast, does a lot of damage, and has great kill power and knockback. It's definitely a move that you want to use, even for edge guarding. The axe is deadly, guys. Use the axe. And those are villager specials. Smash attacks. So villager smash attacks are pretty interesting. They're considered to me more traps than smash attacks. For example, we'll start with down smash. Down smash is a move that covers both sides of villager that plants villager's opponent inside the ground. Of course, your opponent is able to mash out of this, and the faster they mash out, the faster they get out of the ground. But the thing about this is, it sends your opponent straight up. So if you time correctly and react right, that's all there is to it, and you can use any aerial to do it. And of course, it sets up into other moves, such as your aerials, on the ground, or even other smash attacks, like bowling ball. But an interesting thing about this game is, when an opponent is grounded, the knockback to moves that are used on them while they're in the ground are reduced, so bowling ball won't actually kill. Unless you do, of course, have time to charge it a little bit, in which that case, it will end up killing. F smash is an interesting move, but the range on it is terrible. You can definitely use it though to edge guard your opponent, so let's get Diddy Kong off the stage. Any opponent that recovers vertically, such as Pit or Dark Pit, from under the stage straight up, you can drop a bowling ball directly on their head. And this applies to other characters as well, so it's a good edge guarding tool. Dropping them off platforms is also great because it creates a stage hazard that you just really don't want to get hit by. But the thing is, the range on it is quite bad. You have to be very close in order for it to land. But even after down smashing, its knockback is reduced, so the move doesn't really get to live up to its full potential when used in combat. However, if you are necessarily great at making reads, you can punish your opponents for spot dodging and rolling with bowling ball, so that's a great use of the move all on its own. Up smash is great for punishing characters and players that do rely heavily on air dodging to get back to the ground, or moves that have a lot of landing lag. So the move itself kind of sucks your opponent into its vortex, so we're going to see just how far the move will reach Diddy Kong when I let it go. So about this distance right here, the move will land, and at higher percents, the move will definitely kill Diddy Kong. So we're going to knock him off this platform real quick and see if he'll die. And at that percent, he won't actually die, but at 129, that's going to be the surefire kill. So it's great for punishing opponents that are trying to land outside of your juggling. You fast fall to the ground and then throw out that up smash to punish their air dodge or aerial to the ground. Does a great amount of damage as well, guys. So up smash is actually a good tool to use and to have in your arsenal. But villagers smashes are generally, as I said, more so traps than actual smash attacks that you want to use for the final blow. You want to focus more so on using villagers aerials and great zoning game to engage and defeat your opponent.